part looks different. I freaking love this so much. Okay.
I do too. I
Beautiful.
told my partner that I was doing this and what the topic was, and he was like, "Was the what did he say? Was the vetting process rigorous for you?" I was like, "Actually," it's like because it just seems like she wrote the podcast for you.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I feel like when you put a topic out there, sometimes the people who are meant for it are just, they're there, they're aligned, they see it. I don't have to do too much work to dig deep. Sometimes I do if I have a topic that I'm really excited to talk about. But I feel like when a topic hits me and I throw it out there, it just is almost immediate that somebody who is so aligned with it finds it. And that's one of the things that I absolutely love about this show is that it seems to be aligning so well with not just what's going on in my head, but of the women in my community. And when it comes to topics like this, like, being different, stepping outside of the box, I think that us as Black women, we're already kind of doing that in a lot of different ways. And then when you add on top of it, I have this colorful hair, I have these piercings, I have these tattoos. It's a whole nother level of people going, huh, what now? Like, yeah, there's just like a little bit more. And so part of what I wanted to do with this particular episode is to show that, I talk a lot about how Black women are super unique. They're like, you call yourself a unicorn, right? We're these like beautiful, magical, and like inquisitive, innovative beings. All of it. And that people still have a hard time with that. And it's like, you better get on board with that because now we're also this. And we're still intelligent and we're still beautiful and we're still funny and we're still creating amazing things, sometimes even more so.
Even more so, for sure. For sure.
I'm glad you found your way to the show. And I would love to throw it to you to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to our listeners and why it is that you were passionate about talking about body modification in a professional setting.
I love it. I love it. So first and foremost, thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Yes.
I am Eryka the Chef, also known as Eryka the Magical Unicorn. That's my moniker. I exist in this world really just to bridge the gap between health and lifestyle. My dope superpower is I help people bring imaginations to life. That exists in a couple different facets and a couple different ways. I am obviously a chef, hence Eryka the Chef, right? And so creating amazing food experiences and shifting how people view food and health in that culmination of things. But that same thing translates into my coaching space and just really shifting what people think healthy looks like. What is a healthy lifestyle? What does that mean? Do you have to sacrifice this versus that? And so really digging into what makes people happy, what feels good to your soul, not what you should be doing or what is expected of you, what feels good to your soul, and what do we need to put in place to get you there? What do we need to move out of the way to get you there so that we can bring your imagination to life? And so that's my little happy spot in the world.
I love it. And I love that you even just said, how do I gain those things without sacrificing?
Absolutely.
Because that is one of the topics that Black women are toggling with all the time, right? How do I get to still live my life? I don't even know if some people who are doing it actually talk about how to not do it anymore. It's just been so ingrained in the archetype of the Black woman, the sacrificing who they are, the sacrificing the joy, the sacrificing the time, the attention for other people. And for you to acknowledge that we're going to figure out how to do all of those things without sacrificing.
All of it. It is like even the body modifications, even if your skirt's a little too short or your top's a little too low, how do you get to exist in your brilliance? Still, both and is a mantra and a lifestyle. Both and.
I love that you said that because I did one interview one time where I was wearing one of my favorite jumpers and I forgot that sitting down in this jumper made the cut go really low. And I was halfway through the interview before I looked at myself in the screen like, oh, your tatas are quite prevalent.
Pull those back up. Look at my face, please.
Just but But those things shouldn't take away from who we are or what it is that we're representing in the world. So thank you for mentioning that. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
love this idea of being a multifaceted woman, not just in your passion, but also in the way that you look. Um, I would love to hear a little bit more about how you became this colorful unicorn person that you are. Was it something that you always had as like when you were a kid, or was it something that you developed into as you grew up?
Ooh, so first and foremost, I was born this way. Unicorns are born, not made. Um, it has been an interesting journey throughout the life, and for sure, my professional space has, pulled in on that. Like I've always existed all out in color, right? So
Mhm.
that's a thing. It's how do I show up in the most color, in the most play, in the most joy? That's me. I remember on the eve of my 21st birthday, my friends like skipping along with my friends and then telling me, when you turn 21, you gotta stop skipping. Like 21-year-olds do not skip everywhere that they go.
How
And so
dare they try to stop your skipping?
listen, I stopped for like 6 months, maybe. And here we are. But then I went into the military at as early as you could. I went to the military at 17. I've worked for big corporate brands, and it was very much this space of muting those things, right? One of our company policies was you don't have hair color that's not naturally occurring. Um, I happened to go into the military just before they banned locks. I happened to have just started my locks just before I went into the military, right? And so there was this censorship over these things that just felt natural to me. I wasn't trying to do anything in particular other than just living in my skin. And so once I um, moved from those spaces, the first thing I did was dye my hair purple. It was literally like 2 week notice and then, ooh, can I have purple hair?
Yes.
And so that emergence of doing that just existed, I think, more out loud because for so long I was not allowed to.
Mhm.
Um, and I explored with my locks all the colors, sometimes at the same time, sometimes at different times,
Mhm.
and just kind of living in that space. And there was a time as my brand was building and I was building the company that I started to shy away from it some. It's like, well, am I being overlooked because of this? Can I show up in these spaces in this way? So let me put my locks in a neat bun. Let me
Mhm.
let not show the color as much. I'm gonna dress the part. Though I love a nice skirt suit,
Mhm.
I then started finding safety and comfort in that. But even in that space, I was looking for my outlet. I wear a nice skirt suit, but she's gonna have a colorful tie. Like
Yeah.
what grown woman is wearing a tie with all me? She is her because the color has to come somewhere. Um, and then it was just moving through that space for a while, and I woke up and it was like, you know what, I don't recognize this. Like, what happens? Looking through some pictures and it's like, what happens to my colorful hair? I want my colors back. Why did I allow whatever thoughts and fears that I have to sneak back in and take that away from me? And so we we went from 0 to 100 once again. And I went to my stylist and I said, I need color. And she said, well, you haven't had color in so long. What colors do you want? I was like, big, bold ones. And so we were fuchsia and blue.
Yes.
And like off the bat, like, okay, we went from natural hair color to fuchsia and blue. We're back in it. What are we doing? And just it's like I just love it here. And I think the longer I'm here at this point, the more colorful I get. It just keeps. I joke with my friends that I'm gonna be the old lady with 800 colors on. Um, it happens.
A
I
walking quilt.
It's a thing. I noticed a while back. It's like even when I try to be muted, I still have on like at least 4 colors at any given time. I had on like all black, black pants, black top, black shoes, and I realized that I had a green scarf on. When I put my coat on, my coat is burgundy. My gloves are. I was like, I swear I had on all black today. And yet here we are. I still have on 6 different colors. How?
I could have sworn it was only black and your
I could have,
rainbows head
I
to toe.
started in all black. So it just is the natural evolution of who I am. I don't try to exist in this space. I just allow the space to be,
Yeah.
for sure.
Do you remember when you went from, the suits and the one colors with, or one like black or whatever with the one color tie, into embracing your love for color and your incorporation for color? Was there a particular situation that happened, or was it just all of a sudden you looked around and was like, this is not enough color for me?
Yeah, it really, it was a progression of things, like the time I just mentioned, where I realized that even in wearing a monotone, I literally called a friend and I was like, I'm about to send you a picture and I need you to explain to me how I was dressed in one color when I got dressed and I'm now standing in these people's store with 6 different colors. Can you explain? And he said, because that's who you are and your color will always find you. And it's sad, like it was not like this profound moment. It was just
Mhm.
this like joking with a friend. And I think that space started to transition me back in. Like I said, I don't know the timing, but soon thereafter, I was looking through pictures and I realized that I haven't colored my hair in like 2 years.
Yeah.
Who does that?
Yeah.
Hey, I need some color. It's almost my birthday. What are we doing? And so there was no one particular thing. It I just moved back into
I mean, I love that because I think that it's also very representative of things like self-confidence, which we talk about a lot on the show, or things like self-respect or self-validation. People always assume that there's just like this shift, and then, one day you're not confident and the next day you are. But in actuality, it is a culmination of little things that happen over time where you're realizing the little places in your life where you can have more confidence. And when you start working on each of
it.
those individual things, then one day you're like, I'm a confident woman. But it's never like a thing that happens. It's always
Yeah.
a couple of different things in a couple of different situations. You look at it, you work on it, you try to better it, and then it's like, oh, on the other side of it, you're like, I'm a
I
confident woman.
remember when.
Yeah. And then people are like, well, when did that happen? And you're like, I mean, it's been happening. I mean, I remember when I wasn't, but like it's slowly been happening. And now I'm like here, right? It's the
Yeah,
exact same thing.
exactly.
Okay, Eryka the Chef, I would love to hear about how it is that you got into cooking and became a chef.
Okay, I love it. I love it. So I always tell people that my life is really serendipitous. Like I fall into things. I've been cooking since I was 6. First meal, not amazing. Cooking for my mom, breakfast in bed. And I think immediately like the joy of like, oh my goodness, my baby made me breakfast. I fell in love with that. And so every chance I got, cooking, doing the things. First full on party at 14, hired servers, turned the house into a whole restaurant. It's like we're doing the thing, but it was always just something to do on the side. It was just what I do for fun. Studying for MCATs, getting ready for an MCAT prep course, wanted something fun to do for the summer. Our local culinary school had like this 6-week home cooks thing, and some kind of way they ended up mixing up my paperwork and enrolling me into the degree program. At the same time, something happened with the military and I wasn't able to take the MCAT course when I planned to. And so they called me, they're like, classes start Monday. We don't have the rest of your paperwork. Like, what? Okay, if I do anything else, I guess I'll show up. But being in that space, surrounded by people that were doing this professionally, it's like, oh, this is what y'all do? Like, here it is. And though even throughout the entire degree program, I was just having fun. Like nothing in my mind said I would be here. But when I went back into the hospitals, there was so much of the discongruence between what I was doing and what I was being asked to do. And so it took years of things just playing with both, because science and the human body and all of those things make me happy, just as happy, but finding where that joy circle, like how do they intertwine and connect, and how do I get to do both of them? And some kind of way we figured it out, or at least we're still figuring it out, but it's working. So here we are.
Yes, thus Eryka the Chef was born. And I love that it's almost like life, the universe, it's like, hey, we're doing this instead, right? Like it had to work
Absolutely.
out in that way for you to go in that direction. And I've seen the photos of your food. It looks amazing. I was looking through it today and I was like, I want to eat that
I'll
right
have to
now.
feed you soon. That gives me joy. That gives me so much joy.
So how has been do you feel like previously you were talking about how you felt like you had to fit inside a certain box to do certain jobs. Do you feel like being a chef is one of those jobs where you had to conceal the modifications of your body to be able to get work or get jobs in the spaces that you wanted to be in?
So chefing has this very interesting culture that I think if you're not in the culture, you have no idea. Like people see chefs, we have such a TV chefs are such a thing. And so we get to see these snapshots that we never had the opportunity to see before. But chefing really is a counterculture um, of its in and of itself. However, being a little Black girl in the
Hmm.
chefing world still had its very huge hurdles. Though women belong in the kitchen, they belong in the home kitchen. Women do not belong in professional kitchens. And so
Hmm.
finding my voice in that space really was just about me showing up where I wanted to be and doing what was necessary to learn the things and prove myself over and over again. And a lot of times not looking the part. I'm short. I'm small now, but I was tiny, like very, very tiny, with this little voice. I talk a lot, but with this very small voice. And it was just like, oh, go make the salads. No, she
Mm.
wants to be on the grill. I've never worked garmage, which is salad station. She doesn't do that. She works the grill, she works saute, she works the most challenging spaces here. And so the looking the part wasn't so much about my modifications as much as it was just the existence. The modifications are well accepted in that space.
Yeah.
Uh, the me of who I am was not as much, and so it was a kind of a flip on this same story, but
Mhm.
for very different reasons.
Yeah. Yeah, how looking the part looks different in different places, right? I love that. I love that when you put your I love that when you put your questionnaire and you put being a weirdo. It's like I'm gonna ask her what being a weirdo is to her because it's like I feel like some people could take that so in the wrong direction, and I'm like, I bet you she has a good
You
good
can take
reason
it,
for that.
they can take it wherever they like. I have no qualms, whatever that means to you. Yep, that too. First and foremost, cheers to the weirdos, for without us, the world
Cheers.
so much less fun. It would be boring. It would be horrible. You wouldn't have a cell phone. We wouldn't be talking here on this computer. Baby, the weirdos make the world go round, right? And so that's a part of that. But for me, I've just always existed outside of the norm. Like I am the girl sitting at the bar, grooving to the music with a book in my hands, right?
Mhm.
I would rather be on a swing than wherever the normal people are hanging out. Like take
Yeah.
me to the park, I'm swinging for hours with my music in my ears. And so just existing outside of the template. I think
Mhm.
I was a tomboy who was obsessed with dresses.
Mhm.
Most people in my life have rarely ever seen me in pants, childhood up. But I'm
Yep.
climbing the tree, I'm playing football, I'm riding bikes, I'm jumping the fence in a
Yep.
dress
Yep.
because I want to.
I still want to wear my dress.
Because I want to be pretty and climb a tree.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely outside of that. It's funny they bring that up because when I was a kid, so it between the summer between fifth grade and sixth grade in my school in California, sixth grade was still considered elementary school. So there wasn't going to a different school. It was like the last grade of elementary school. And right before the last grade, the summer of, I decided that I wanted to pierce my nose and along with it, shave my head. And I
I love
remember going to tell my mother this was what I wanted to do over the summer. And it happened two different ways. Like I went to the nose piercing first, and it was like, why? You're 10 years old. What do you mean this is what you want? And this was before anybody had their nose pierced, even the adults. Like adults didn't have nose piercings to the degree that they have them now. It was very much just like the chick behind the bar and the guy that was actually in the tattoo shop doing tattoos. Like nose rings weren't a thing yet. And I had read a book, I'd read a magazine, and I had seen all of these different articles about rites of passages and becoming a new person, right? Shifting from being that kid to being an older, wiser, teenager kind of person, young adult. And for me, in my head, it had stuck with me so much that having a nose piercing was my personal, I'm not a kid anymore, and I'm going to go to be a teenager now. I mean, granted, 3 years too early, but and I wanted it. And I went to my mom and I said, this is what I want. She goes, why? Like, this is such like a left field thing. And then I told her and she said, okay. Then we went and got it. Then I got my nose pierced at 10. And then
I
later,
love it.
yeah, later that summer, all of this gorgeousness that you see now. I was a child who could not figure it out. I feel like most Black girls, especially those of us who have like these big ringlets that knot up, that lock up, and when we're trying to control it, all of this hair that we got going on that does its own thing when you're, a 10-year-old kid, it's just too much. I want to go play. I want to go hang out with my friends. I want to read books. I want to do all this stuff other than think about my hair. And I was just like, take it. And my mom was like, let's start with the back. So we started with half the back. And then I was like, a couple days later, just take it. Like, I just don't care, And to me, I look back on it now as like a 35-year-old adult. And I'm like, it was such an interesting time because there was nobody else to influence my decision. Where I think now there's so many more people, and especially with the inclusion of social media, which I did not have when I was a child. And we watched a lot of movies, but not a lot of TV. And there wasn't reality TV when I was a kid. It was like I was making this decision on my own for myself, which I think is, when it comes to body modifications, there are a lot of people that do that. But then there's also a lot of people that do it to be a part of a trend or to look cool or to stand out, and not because they're wanting those things for themselves. I want to be cool for myself. I want to stand out for myself, but I want someone to look at me and say, that's cool. And those are two completely different things. I feel like you and I came from that place of like, this is something that made me feel so joyous that it was not a question about whether or not I was going to do it. It was like when, like where, when, and how.
When.
Yeah, it's definitely happening.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, I consider myself to be one of the weirdos. I, for years, had my hair in all different colors. It was purple, magenta, teal. I've been platinum blonde for years. I've also done with like none of it and just my natural hair, which I also felt was kind of weird because it was like, I need my colors back. I just recently decided to go with like the blonde gold ombre, which I actually been having a lot of fun with, like not playing with colors, doing a little bit of the opposite for the last year after doing, what was it, 6-7 years of all the bright colors. But really loving how I can change that. Like you said, putting clothes on, lipstick and makeup has been really fun for me too lately. I've never been a makeup person, but it's just like explore. You get to do all these things to explore who you are and how you want to be in the world.
I want to show up. Yeah.
How you show up, and that confidence is really built from that place too. When you stop asking other people, is it okay if I have pink hair? Is it okay if I get this big tattoo? Is it okay if I wear these colors? Like all of that is stopping your confidence from flowing out of you. Like you're wanting it to flow into you when you start asking those validating questions. But instead, if you just go, it is okay, and it's going to be awesome.
It's gotta be, because it is.
And allowing it to come out, that's where the confidence is. And then the confidence gets to just live in your environment.
Yeah.
So let's touch briefly on for a second. You talked about social anxiety and how it started. When you have social anxiety, it fuels up old stories. If you feel safe to, can you tell us what your social anxiety feels like, or what sparks it on, and what are the old stories that start popping up when you're experiencing it?
Ooh, that feels like such a big question.
I know. Don't let it be a big question. It can be a light question.
It's so very layered. I don't know that I know or care where my social anxiety necessarily came from.
Mhm.
Uh, it's just a matter of being aware of it and what do I do and move through it at this point.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, we try to leave trauma wherever wherever trauma exists. And I think a part of that is just my neurodivergence and living on the spectrum, right? And so not necessarily trauma informed, just is a part of how I show up in the world, right?
Mhm.
Um, how it shows up is it really depends. I think some of the old stories I think come from the social anxiety
Mhm.
versus it being the other way around, right? And so I'm in those spaces and like I said, I'm the girl at the bar who is fully into grooving to the music and thinking I'm having a good old time with my book in the corner. And then I hear, oh, well, you don't ever have fun when we go out. So I was like, wait, I was having the time of my life. This is
Right.
perfection for me. And so I think over the years of existing just outside of what was normal before I started embracing my weirdo,
Mm.
those things start to build this, well, people aren't going to want to hang out with you if you are this, or you got to put your book down and pretend to be having the fun that they're having,
Mm.
which fuels this whole thing. And so those are how the old stories sometimes come up. Someone just a week ago said to me, it sounds like you're teaching when you talk and we're just trying to have fun. It's like I wasn't teaching, I was just talking.
I was just sharing. Oh my gosh, I get that a lot too.
We were just conversing conversing about life. And so immediately, almost immediately, I felt myself go into my shell, right? It's like, well, then I shouldn't be talking, right? And then right, just so I'm sitting and I'm not talking, and then someone else that's there who didn't hear that part of the conversation says, um, you stopped talking to me, like you were out and having fun, and now you're just, and it's like, so being quiet
Yeah.
bothers this person, talking bothers this person. And so sometimes those things very much do still surface. What should I do? How should I show up? Is me too much? Is me not enough? And then there's just the peopling of it, right? So
Yeah.
outside of the stories and those things that come up, it's just interacting with people is a lot. I think because I'm such a big energy, in
Yeah.
case you could tell, and I'm putting out so much, I'm giving that too, right? And so though there's no pretense, this isn't like, oh, well, she's just pretending to be happy. It's a lot of energy to do and be and exist in that. And people tend to pull on that energy. And I can feel that pull. I like to call myself an extroverted introvert. I seem very extroverted right up until I'm not. And it's like, and so it's for me dealing with that is about um owning that space, deciding how I want to show up and deciding to show up in that way. If I feel like sitting in the corner with a book and I want to be here, I'm going to sit in the corner with a book
Yeah.
and be here. If I feel like being big and not necessarily, probably loud sometimes. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think I'm loud, and then people tell me I'm not loud. And I was like, "Oh, you weren't though." So whatever, loquacious and boisterous and existing in that way, then I do. And either way, it's okay. A piece of that too is deciding what I want out of the space and situation, right? If I'm
Yeah.
going here to make connections and make friends, then girl, you got to dance it out, have a dance party, bring your
Yeah.
energy this. If you're going to just take in the atmosphere and enjoy the music, it's perfectly fine for you to sit in the corner with a book. You're harming no one. If it makes them uncomfortable, that's
That's
kind of
on them. That's their feelings. They have to work them.
that's their feelings,
Yeah.
not mine. And so I'm not showing up inauthentically
Yeah.
either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You brought up a really great point about peopling. And yeah, I think one of the things that I've noticed in through all of my years, whether it was 10 years old with a nose ring and a buzz cut, or when I had purple hair, or, wearing something low cut, or whatever it is, like tattoo showing, that people
Oh,
my newness, before I get onto the peopling part, I had a whole year this year of knowing that I wanted a big external showy piece. I have other tattoos that are all covered with clothing if I want them to be. And this was my first one that was like, it's here, it's out, it's loud, it's proud. But it took me a whole year of going back and forth. Well, one, I'm so picky that I wanted a design and an artist that I loved and was like, I'm not only okay with having this the rest of my life, but showing the entire world when I become an international speaker and, have a book that I'm touring everywhere. Right. But also this idea of, well, can I be an international motivational speaker with big art on the outside of my body, with piercings in my face? Can I do those things? And what's interesting about peopling from this space, I would say also when I had very bright hair, I think it was something that I thought about a lot, is how people interact with me based on what they can see on me. Because we as Black women, we already get some sense of that. The way that people interact with us just by us being Black women is different than they interact with anybody else. And then throw on top of it a bright purple afro. And then they think that they have the right to assume things about me, like I'm dumb, or I don't have a professional job, or, I don't speak eloquently or anything like that. And then, my favorite is that, that's not what I expected you to sound like, or that's, based on how you look, that's just not how I thought you would show up. And I'm like, well, tell me you're dumb while telling me you're dumb. Like, I don't know.
I have definitely heard, oh, I didn't expect you to be so intelligent.
To
What?
my face? You're gonna say
What?
that to my face with pride?
You're not gonna keep that to yourself. You're just not gonna hold that opinion.
Lock it on in.
Thanks for letting me know. I think it's a compliment now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm intelligent. Yeah, for
And
sure.
how much people come at you with the normal amount of peopling plus, these assumptions or prejudices that they think are compliments when in actuality we're astonished that they would even say those things to our face. But then it also comes to this place where you're like, even if you wouldn't have said it, I know that you're thinking it, right? And the peopling becomes a whole different thing for us because people have already made assumptions about who we are or what level of professionalism we have, what level of intellect or intelligence we have based on what we look like. And it feels like it carries so much more weight when we're Black women in these different career industries, right? I know that you said being a chef is like, it's okay to like have piercings and tattoos and colorful hair, which I do believe, but that there's like that other layer of it, right? It's like being a small Black woman and have them being like, well, then we're going to put you in this like position that you're like, I don't even do that. That's not something that I do.
Now that I'm not working in restaurants outside of my own,
Yeah.
I'm consulting and doing those things and client that. So it's a businesswoman now, right? I'm a business owner. And that is a very different space, right? As though I'm a chef. In the chef world, you accept my colorful hair and whatever else. Like, you don't care at all. However, I'm not being hired by chefs now. I'm being hired by everyday people. I'm being hired by corporate executives. I'm being hired by CEOs that have then a different opinion about what that looks like, right? And who's the boss in this space. Don't let me be with a male colleague talking about or even my male staff pursuing clients. They default there for the questions because you look the part and clearly you're just the chef that works for him. It's like, no, this is my team. I hired this.
Hi, go to me.
I applaud the beautiful men that are in my employ because they go dumb really quickly, and I appreciate them for that. I don't know. Ask her. You knew all those answers, but thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
that's
for
the
making
boss
me
over there.
right. It's like, check with her. And I appreciate them for allowing me to even exist in that space.
Good. So how has that been not how has it been? How has the journey been inside of your coaching practice now with the people that you're meeting, are you finding that you're attracting people who want to be more expressive or want to have, I guess, quote unquote, this permission slip to express themselves, even if it's in a weirdo kind of way?
Absolutely. So it's really interesting even how this part of the journey has changed and shifted,
Mhm.
right? And where I show up and how I show up. I think particularly in like the last year or two, if I'm being like real honest, in the last year or two, there are more people that are gravitating in, that are just like, you just look so happy. Like,
Mhm.
I want some of that. Like, I don't know what it is that you're doing. People come like, I don't even know what you coach about, but you look happy. Can I get some of that?
Yeah.
I don't care what form this comes in. But I also believe that is for sure a part of me just existing in this space, right? As long as I was being the professional coach, because in the coaching spaces, even still, I'm gonna put on a bun. If I'm showing up on camera, I'm gonna pull things in a certain
Mhm.
way.
Yeah.
I'm not showing pictures of my personal life. If you look at my social media, um, that footprint is small, right? I don't
Yeah.
post pictures. I don't do any of the things because you can't see me in my regular life. I show up as a professional.
Right.
I am teaching, all of my degrees start to show up,
Yep.
and that's what you know. But the more I just exist
Mm.
out loud as who I am, people gravitate and find even exact opposites of me.
Mhm.
Um, the corporate button ups are some of my favorite clients,
Yeah.
because we get to just exist in this space because that is who you are. You
Right.
don't have to have colorful hair to be amazing.
Right.
Whatever your amazing is, I want to help you live in your joy, and not what should be or shouldn't be, for sure. So
And what I hope that all of you out there are listening to what Eryka just said, because this is the core of confidence work as well. It's not trying to fit yourself into like this, like confidence is over here and I want to get into that box. It's
if
really
I'm,
about
if I'm confident, I would wear bigger colors. No.
no, right, right, exactly. It's about figuring out what makes you feel confident and then engaging those things, making habits around those things, right? For you, it's about how is it that you express yourself? For Eryka and I, it is big, colorful hair. It is our nose rings. It is our what we're wearing and how bright that can be, right? But that does not always make people feel confident or joyful, right? But there are things in your life that you can do to your body and with your body to make you feel confident, to make you feel joyful. And it's I like to call it the reverse engineering, because I know that when people look at things, like they Google one of the questions I get all the time, how do I become more confident? I Google it at least once a week. How do I get more confidence, right? And people are always looking outside for suggestions. I say this about self-care too. I'm going to Google what's good for self-care, right? And then you Google stuff and you look at this list and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to do these 5 things and then I'm going to be more confident. I'm going to great self-care. And then you do them and you don't feel any more confident and you don't feel like your self-care is actually caring for you. And I'm creating a whole new audio guide right now. And one of the points is how to find self-care that cares for yourself. And
I
it's because we got it's amazing. It's because we have to reverse engineer our way of thinking rather than looking outside for what we think is going to make us feel confident or authentic in our expression, or like we're doing self-care that cares for ourselves. We have to say, hey self, what is it that makes you feel confident? Hey self, I mean, what,
Yes.
what do you think like I could do right now that would genuinely make me feel cared for? Like, hey self, I don't really express myself and I'm going to try to express myself in this one way this week and like see if it works. And if it doesn't, try something else. But it's not about asking on the outside and trying things, it's about asking on the inside and then expressing that.
Yes, 110% times 10. Or like our habits retainer, that's the exact point. We build habits based off curiosity, not judgment. We're not trying on,
Mhm.
oh, so I should get up at 5 a.m. and I should go to the gym and do that. No, let's explore what feels good for you, what is it that you desire, and how do we create congruence between those things? Because as long as you're trying on someone else's habits, I mean, some of them may work as you may align with someone who's just like you. However, comma, more often than not, it then diminishes your confidence in everything that you do, because success looks like that, and the successful people are doing this thing, and I can't seem to do that, and that's why I'm not successful. And then you go even deeper into that other hole when you explore with curiosity, what feels good for me, what works for me, let me try this. Oh, that didn't work, let me move to something else. You find this space of, okay, like that's
Me.
right. It is such a beautiful journey. That's one of my passion projects. I take my clients
Yeah.
through how do we build habits and routines that fit you. As a neurodivergent beauty, 90% of the things that y'all tell me I'm supposed to do in a day will definitely not lead to me accomplishing anything. I have spent so much time trying to do those things that now that I'm done, it's like work. I
Yeah.
did the work, right?
Yes. And not only do they not lead to your success, they lead to you feeling like I can never be successful. It like puts you in this place of like, I started at, level 10 and it's, or, -10. And instead of being at 0 or +10, I'm at -50 now because I just spent all this time doing all this work that didn't fulfill me. Instead, it drained me. And instead of it motivating you to keep going, it makes your brain go, you could never achieve this. You can never have this. And so you're even deeper into the hole than you were when you started. And actually, a couple of interviews ago, we had Tasha Wilson on, and Tasha was talking about how it feel when you're doing it with that strategy. It feels like you're wearing clothes that are a different size, like a size too small from what you need. Right. So you're trying on these clothes and you're like, these clothes are really small, but I'm going to wear them because I have to wear clothes. And it's like, change your clothes, go from a
I
medium to a
literally
large.
just wrote like a little content note in my phone before I came in here. The question was something like, do you choose your clothes based off how they fit you, your style, your personality, your body size, and your body type? And the follow from that is, then why then do we try to put on habits and practices and routines based off what fits other people? Yes.
Amazing. The exact thing. Yeah.
Yes.
And it's one of those analogies that I think hits so hard because we all wear clothes every day. And I think us as women who are, growing and changing and evolving, and even those of us who are breaking out of the box of what we were told to look like, what we were told to wear, to explore things with our hair, with our body, with our clothing, that it's such an analogy because we all understand what that is and what that looks like, right? So in terms of being able to help your people find joy and happiness, you said you work with them on building habits.
So at the foundation of all of my coaching is habits, because the things that we habitually do are the things that build who we become, right? So we get that twisted a lot of times. We think we are our habits, and that's not true, because all habits can be rewritten, they can be moved around. We're for sure not our habits. Those things that we are habitually doing decide how we show up and how we look, and who we become. And so I start, no matter what the work is that we're doing, no matter what program you come into with me, we start with habits. And the first habit is always self-love. Like, how do we foster habits that foster that love for you? And then we build from them, for sure.
Love that. How do you maintain or boost the amount of self-love and confidence that you have for yourself in your own life?
So we have lots of loving habits. Like, as
Yay!
if anyone's watching this video, you can watch my eyes. Like if I feel a way, that I go and look at myself, it's like, oh, she's cute. Okay, we can come back. Okay, she's fine. She's cute. It's that moment of just checking in. You asked me earlier about coming into colors. One of the ways that I really embrace what colors do for me and how they feel for me, is I can't remember a time that my toes have not been multicolored, right? it doesn't matter what's happening. My toes are multicolored. And what would happen is I'm in a space, my social anxiety is doing a thing, or I'm feeling nervous, or I'm feeling whatever. And I would just wiggle my toes and I would think about the colors on my toes. It's like, oh wait, yeah. Oh, this one's
Yes.
pink. And I'm moving the toes. It's like, oh wait, and that one's purple. And so it's that body awareness for me, just being aware of my body and what my body does. Checking in when I work out, I'm checking into the muscles and feeling like, oh, look at this thing. I'm at this conference right now, and so I have to do a lot of peopling, and I have to network, and I have to do, this is a very professional conference. This is the president of Delta is here, and all
Yeah.
the things, and I look like this, right?
Yeah.
And so though this feels good for me, there is still that, like, am I going to be received well? Are they gonna hear what I do professionally and not put me back inside of that box? And so we got up this morning and meditated,
Yeah.
because centering and what's that curiosity, what is me saying to me about me, what are those messages? We went to the gym, we checked in, look at all the magical things your body can do. Girl, look how low you got in that squat. Girl, you are dope, right? And
Yes.
then after the shower, there's a whole full length mirror, and we check in with the parts, and we dance and we move, and the music is in. And so all of those things is just showing up loving on me. There's a variety of things that I do depending on the space, but it all centers in just checking in with me, one, with curiosity, and two, with truth, right? Because no matter what's happening, what is true is I'm peeking over the balcony at 40, and all of this has carried me for 40 years. All
Yeah.
of this has gotten me every opportunity I've ever had. All of this has gotten me every piece of joy, every dollar, every love, every hug. All of that has come from me,
Yes.
right? So she dope, even if you don't think she's dope, right? And so checking into that, and that's a me to me. Like my earrings are love letters to myself, right?
Oh
This
my
is
gosh, they're so cute.
thank you, a local artist in Birmingham. You know, maybe I'll post her somewhere. You'll find
Yes. Please do.
but that the center is just checking in with self, and centering on, even when I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Oh, you're dope. Look
Yeah.
at, okay, your arm is getting a little chunkier than you expected, but I remember my auntie telling me, "Oh, you got my mama's arm. Oh, these my great grandmama arms." Oh, and her talking about how loved she felt in her mom's arms. Like, I earned these arms through my bloodline. These arms were passed down to me. How dare I not love them with the love that was gifted to me? I wouldn't exist without some form of love, right? love love had to be passed for me to exist here. And so centering in that all the time, every day. It's a daily, there's something I do every day to intentionally love on myself.
Thank you so much for sharing that. There was a lot of beautiful, beautiful gold in there. The self-talk piece is such a big piece of what I focus on a lot too, because I don't think that many women realize how well, I think they realize how important self-talk is, but I don't think that they realize how shitty their own self-talk is. That's the place. And there's two sides to every, I mean, there could be multiple sides to everything, but especially when it comes to our self-talk can very quickly, and I think very easily, go to the negative side of things like that, right? And this checking in with yourself process that you're doing is, yes, checking in with yourself, but also checking in with the way that you're talking to yourself, the way that you're perceiving yourself, and making sure that what's coming out of your thought, I said, I was going to say your mouth, but like your thought process, or your mouth too, you know, what you're saying to yourself. So no, yeah, it can come out of both. But that we're managing that we're putting that in check, because you know, one of the things that I say about self-talk is you are the only person that can change that voice for yourself. You can think that like your partner knows you better than yourself, or something that they say to you means more to you, or that there are other voices in your life that are too loud and, you know, they're louder than your self-talk, but that's not true. Okay. The loudest voice that you have is your own, and the only person that can change it is you. So if you don't take the time to do that, you're living with this talk that isn't motivating or confident or self-loving. And if you're in that place where, like, you know, you look at your arms and you're saying all these negative things about your arms, and you don't take a second to go, hey, these arms bring in love. These arms help me carry things. These arms are a part of my being, you know, like that it can be so detrimental to you. What did you say?
These arms create magic. What would I be without these arms?
Right, right. And imagine how much more magic they could make if you showed them love on a regular basis instead of dogging on them, making fun of them. You know, even the comment that your family member made could have been seen as like this negative put down. And instead, it's not a negative put down, it's a gift from my lineage, my gift from my ancestors, you know?
It was an interesting space. It's such a landmark memory because at that moment, so my thighs and my arms don't fit the rest. Like they're like, what happened?
The rest of your body.
Tiny 80 pounds with thigh rub. Like, girl, you 80 pounds. What's happening? But I was my gym regimen was, I was in it, and I had just got out of the shower, and I had just done, all my body was like, oh, she cute. And I had my little sports bra and my shorts, and I come sashaying out, and my aunt says, what she actually said was, oh, you got fat arms just like that. I'm in the gym 6 days a week.
What?
Excuse me? But before I could even express a feeling or emotion, she was like, man, I miss my mom. Man, I miss my mom. And I miss just being able to sit under my mom. And Lena's like, wait. And that moment of, because though her words hit a place, because I can remember the first time I looked in a picture and was like, you 100 pounds, but your arms look like you about 150 pounds. What is happening?
Yeah.
What is that? And I can remember precisely the moment that I first looked at my arms and thought, how is
Like
this a thing?
about them.
And so that immediate turnaround of where these came from gave me something to hold on to it and be.
Good.
And no, I still do all my things because I like my muscles to be like, I love it.
Yes.
However, at any given moment when it's not, I can anchor back to that. I don't allow myself to talk down in that space. And I can probably tell you some similar story for every piece of me, whether or not it came from me or someone saying something that affirmed something in me.
And the one thing that I just want all of our listeners to understand is that this is also something that you can do with and for yourself. You know, I check Amber Rose on the daily. If I say something to myself that is hurtful or mean, I'm like, wow, that was not nice. That was very mean, Amber Rose. And I actually do the, okay, well, now you have to say 3 nice things about yourself. And
I do. I have a niceness sandwich.
Yeah, like you have to do it, and you have to do it. And I think that the most important part of that is being able to check yourself, right? To being able to say, that was really mean. And it's not something that I would say to somebody else. So why is it that I'm saying it to myself? And then being like, instead of saying that, I am going to say something that is positive to myself, because those are the mental shifts. You know, you were talking about habits, and I talk a lot about mental habits, right? So I think habits get a bad rap because everyone's like, habits. I don't want to hear about them anymore. And like, we talk so much about physical habits, going to the gym, eating well, all this stuff. But I'm like, mental habits are a thing too. And when you realize that your mental habits are much more controllable than you think, you begin getting into thinking patterns and feeling patterns that can really change your freaking life. And if that means having more authenticity and authority in who you are and expressing yourself in colorful, beautiful, out of the box, different kinds of ways, that means having more self-confidence and more self-validation. Why would you not want to build those mental and emotional habits? Legit. We're in a world where you want, I know you all want them.
It just feels so much better over here.
It really does.
this is a life body of work, right? A lifetime body of work. And I still like, I wish that I could tell you, oh, I never talked down to myself. I
Oh,
never
it's just part of
said
the
a
human
negative
experience,
about myself. And I know that
really.
on purpose every single day. That's false. What I can also tell you is because that's false, I know the difference in how that feels energetically. And
Yeah.
I know how that affects my life
Yeah.
in all the ways. I can for sure point out times where I am living in that bubble and I allow it to go too far and how much it affects so many
Mhm.
things. Yeah.
And you do not want to learn from someone who pretends that they have rainbows shining out of their ass every minute of every day. That is not somebody that you can learn real life mental, emotional skills from. If they're trying to pretend like every single minute of their day is positive, in alignment, full of love and life and everything, I'm not learning with you. You don't know what it's like to
But
be
then
a
you
human
can't
in
teach
the
me
real
how,
world.
right? You can't teach me how to get out of my negative self-talk if you never have it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I would love to know what it is that you want to be known for.
Aside from love and light, bringing imaginations to life, like that space for me of really bridging the gap between health and lifestyle. Like it sounds like a sound bite, it sounds like a pitchy thing, but for me, like that is the story of my life. And if I can gift that to other people, what does it mean to live full on healthy love, joy, the healthiest version of yourself, living in your dreams? If I can help you bring that into reality, talk about it, tell the people so I can do it for some more people. Yeah.
I love that. The idea of imagination too. I feel like we lose so much of it as we grow up. Imagination, joy, pleasure, fun for fun's sake,
Just because you're having fun, go
Yeah.
dance for your life, even though you cannot dance. Do the
Yeah, we
thing.
get so bogged into this robot life, gotta wake up at 5 a.m. and go to the gym. No, forget that.
I take it up at 6 this morning and go to the gym.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I
I'm
do
not sure
wake
how
up
I felt
early.
about it.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, sometimes I do wake up early and go to the gym, but is that my whole life and personality? Absolutely not.
It's because in that space of like, this gets to be a choice. It doesn't mean that I
Yes.
gotta get up at noon. It's the same thing. Like being confident doesn't mean you have to be colorful and all the things. It is being curious about what feels good to me, what is my imagination, what is my heart calling for, and how do
Mhm.
I show up and do that over and over and over again
Yeah.
all the time.
Well, I'm very excited to be showing up for your Monday meditations. I think that is such a beautiful thing to offer the world. It's through Zoom, right?
Yes, we show up
Okay.
live on Zoom.
So
Mhm.
we'll make sure to put a link to that somewhere in the show notes so all of you can show up there. I got you on Instagram as Eryka the Chef.
Indeed, indeed. And that's spelled real cute. I had nothing to do with it. Don't worry about it. It's Eryka, and then of course the chef.
The
So
Chef.
like Erica Badu minus the H. Erica no H, that's me.
Beautiful. Eryka the Chef at Instagram. And then erykathechef.com if you want to go look at all of the amazing food that you are immediately going to want to jump through the screen to enjoy. I'm really excited to see what you
And just
got.
call me.
Or just come.
I'll just come. I'll just show up. I get on a plane, a boat, a train. Don't worry about it. I'll come and cook for you.
Yes. Hopefully when we have our women of color and confidence conference. I don't know, I'm not exactly sure when it's going to be, but I'm excited to put it through, and I'll be calling you and get you.
Call me.
I'm really excited to see what you have brewing for 2023. I can tell that you are just so full of spirit that is magnetic and attractive and, yes, colorful and full of joy, and that there are people who have listened to this and they are going to find you. And in the same way that you found our episode topic today, they're going to find you for all of the things that they need in their self-expression. So thank you so much for joining me today. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you for inviting me to this space and just allowing me to just exist. It's it's all joy, and I'm very much grateful. Thank you.
Yay! I'm happy for that because that's what the whole show is for. I just want to make sure that all the women feel presented and expressed and with love and joy and gratitude and mad respect. You're amazing. Thank you.
Absolutely. And as are you, as are you.